Welcome, my name is Bob Busco with Equip Solutions. I'd like to introduce you to the new Tempest 2.0 polymer feed system. We provide the same superior mixing along with some new enhancements to give you the most reliable and accurate liquid polymer feed system in the industry. Today's video, we're going to overview the Tempest 2.0 components and we'll review the programming of the new Tempest 2.0 controller. Let's take a look at the components of the new Tempest 2.0 polymer feed system. On the back of the unit is an inlet for your raw water in and also your neat polymer. The raw water is controlled through a solenoid valve. Your raw water comes through our new Hauser flow meter, which reads accurate water flow, including totalized. Our water and polymer come through our mixing tee, through our mixing chamber, and can be controlled using the primary dilution. We also have a secondary dilution control valve for your makeup solution. In addition to the polymer pump, we've included a cal column for drawdowns and also our new Tempest 2.0 controller. Let's take a closer look at the Tempest 2.0 controller. The display shows the polymer control, which shows the polymer feed rate in gallons per hour, the control output to the polymer pump in percent, the water flow rate, and the percent concentration. There is a power on light. When there's 120 volts, the power light is on. If it goes into alarm, a red LED will be lit. Underneath the display is soft keys, which coincide with the menu items on the display. Below the soft keys, we have an up and down, left and right arrow key, and a enter or save key, which allows you to manipulate or walk through the menus. From the polymer control menu, press the key under the edit button and it brings us to the polymer controller submenu. The first thing you want to look at is the timers. If we press options, arrow down to setup, arrow down to timer setup. The timer setup allows you to change the alarm delay in seconds, the feed delay in seconds, and the timeout in seconds for priming the polymer pump. Next, you want to check the flush cycles. If we press the soft key with the options, arrow down to setup, and flush setup. The flush setup has three options. The first is the duration of the flush in seconds. The second is the interval, the time between flushes in seconds. And the third is the count or the number of flushes required. The last item we want to check is the dosing pump and low flow shutoff. If we hit options again and setup, arrow down to dosing pump setup. The pump capacity, in this case, is 15.8 gallons per hour, is the max pump of the polymer pump, which should come already programmed new. The low flow threshold is the low flow water cutoff for the system, typically set at 10% of maximum output. To change the low flow water, arrow down, press enter button, use the keys to navigate left and right, use the arrow keys to go up or down, press enter. To go back to the polymer home screen, just press the button underneath the home and it brings you back to the polymer control. The current controller is set up for local concentration, which is indicated on the display. To check or change your local concentration, we press the edit key and you can see the concentration right now is set for 0.4%. Our mode is in local and our control is in concentration. To change the concentration percent, arrow down, hit enter, arrow to the right, use the up and down arrow keys, and hit enter. That will change the percent concentration. If we want to change our mode of control, scroll up, arrow up or down to the control, hit enter, select rate. Now we're in local rate. You can see we have a new feed rate field, which we can change by arrowing down, arrow to the right, use the up and down arrow keys, press enter, and now we're in local rate mode. If we hit our Homes button, back to our polymer control screen, you can see we're currently in local rate. Next, let's take a look at how to set up the controller for remote start-stop. We go to the Edit button, Options, arrow down to Setup, and arrow down to Signal Setup. The third item down, pull-down menu, is called Interlock. Arrow down to Interlock, press Enter, and select Remote Start-Stop 1.1. Hit Enter and select Home. Notice that the Start button is now gone from the display and the unit will only operate with a remote dry contact. To change over to the remote mode of operation, we select the Edit button, arrow down to the mode, hit the Enter button, arrow to Remote, and press Enter. If we go back to our home screen, we can see we're in remote concentration mode. The remote concentration mode is a 4 to 20 input signal from your PLC or device. If we go from the home screen to the menu screen, there's a tile called Remote Set Point 1.2. If we arrow down to that tile, press Enter, go to Options, Setup, and Set Point. That'll show you that the set point or this input is set up for 0 to 1.5% for remote concentration. If we wanted to go to remote rate, we would go back to our home screen, Edit, arrow down to your mode, to your control, Enter, and go to remote rate. Back to our home screen, we need to go back to our remote set point by hitting the menu to the Remote Set Point 1.2 tile. Options, Setup, and Set Point. In this screen, we need to change our units of measure from percent to gallons per hour. Arrow down to Units, press Enter. We want to arrow over to our first type. It's currently set for percent. We arrow up to volume. And in the sub-menu, select gallons. We also need to go arrow to the second type menu. And instead of volume, we go to time and select arrow down in the sub-menu, select hour. That changes our units to gallons per hour. Select the Done button. The next step, we need to change our range from 0 to 15.8 because now we're in gallons per hour of the maximum output of the pump. Press Enter, arrow over, and increase our output to 15.8. Press Enter. Now we're at 0 to 15.8 gallons per hour. The last step, you hit the Options button, Maintenance, Advanced. We need to reset our span. To do that, you press the button under Reset, confirm with the yes, And now our 4 to 20 input set for 0 to 15.8 gallons per hour. Hit the home screen. The unit's now set up for remote rate and will run with the 4 to 20 input signal. When in local concentration or local remote mode, you start the polymer feed cycle by pressing the button under Start. The solenoid opens and the feed delay begins. And as your water rate increases, your polymer feed rate increases. And in this case, I have my concentration set to 0.5%. You can see my polymer feed rate's at 1.84 gallons per hour. I have 11.7% output to my polymer pump. My water flow rate's at 6.2. My concentration will maintain 0.5%. If I decrease my water flow, you can see that the water flow rate is decreasing. My polymer feed rate is decreasing to maintain that 0.5% concentration. To stop the operation, press the stop button, and the Tempest 2.0 will go through its flush cycle indicated on the display. During the preliminary setup, we set up our flush cycle, our interval for 5 seconds, our flush time for 5 seconds, and we wanted 3 counts. So if we hit the stop button on the Tempest 2.0, it goes into its first flush with water flow, stops, our second flush after 5 seconds, stops, and then our third flush for 5 seconds. At the conclusion of the flush, the system goes back into standby mode. The Tempest 2.0 controller will pick up a variety of alarms, including polymer pump, a percent concentration, and a low flow. This demonstration is going to show how to reset an alarm condition. We're forcing a low flow alarm. You can see our gallons per minute water flow rates dropping below our set point. After the delay time, the unit will try to go into a flush mode. The unit will go into a flush mode. And alarm out. Indicates an error. The display indicates an error and it shows you what alarm just occurred. In this case, it's a low flow error. Notice that the red top of the menu is now red. To reset the alarm after the problem is solved, press Menu, arrow over to the Polymer Control tile 1.1, which is be red, hit Enter, and press the Reset button. After pressing Reset, press Home. The unit's now in standby mode. The Tempest 2.0 controller is designed to alarm out on several conditions. Low flow, percent concentration couldn't be reached, or if a pump fault occurs. The polymer controller will go into an alarm condition, followed by a flush, and then you would have to reset that alarm in order to continue operation. In this case, we're going to have a pump fault alarm. After the time delay, the controller goes into a flush mode. After the flush mode, the display indicates what alarmed. In this case, it's a pump fault. To reset the alarm, we press the the menu key, arrow to the polymer controller tile, press enter, press the button under reset, and press home. That'll put the polymer controller back in the standby mode for the next feed cycle.
That concludes our introductory video for the Tempest 2.0 liquid polymer feed system. Whereas there's a lot to it, once you've decided how you want to configure your system, operation is straightforward. Now that you've seen the flexibility of the new control system, the step-by-step instructions of the operating and maintenance manual will be much easier to follow. For additional assistance or answers to your questions regarding the Tempest 2.0 liquid polymer feed system, you can email the Equip Solutions customer care team at customercare@equipsolutions.com or call us at 630-351-9070. We look forward to working with you on all your water treatment needs. Equip Solutions, where technology and engineered solutions come together.